everybody's attention, please? Can we do the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll be in prayer. Most gracious God, we give you thanks for this day and for the opportunities that it presents to serve you and to serve those of your children in this community. We thank you for the leaders of this community and for their willingness to serve in the capacities that they do. We pray your wisdom upon them, that they may be guided by your wise grace, and we pray that in the lighter moments and in our more serious times, that we may always be resting in your grace and in your ways, trusting in your goodness. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right, number one on the thing, the abstracts. Everyone, I believe, has got a copy of the abstracts to look at. If there are no questions about them, I need a motion, please.
I move we accept the abstracts as published.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Bill Brown, please.
Couple things on our handout tonight, so we'll get a copy. On the digester project, the biogas project, we continue to work on those plans and specs. That'll be most of the summer, through the summer and into the fall, to get the design wrapped up, for the digester itself. And looking to submit to DEC and then go to bid around the end of the year, and hopefully award contracts early 2016, January, February timeframe. The CFA is the big item we're looking at right now. That's the funding application we're submitting to ask for money to fund the pipeline portion of the project. Those are due at the end of the month. We've got most of the stuff put together. Joey's got us a lot of information. We're getting that organized. To that end, we also received letters of support from our local legislators in their support of funding the project for the village and for the community. So those are attached there as well. Next on our agenda, we're working on two sets of grant applications. The first is the soil and water stream program grants. We submitted two pre-applications in April, I believe. We got a letter back from Soil and Water a couple weeks ago indicating that both projects were eligible to go to the full application stage. However, they were only going to accept one application because they had gotten so many throughout the area. So we have two sites, one being over on South Street, Stockton Avenue, along the river. The other site being up in Austin Lincoln Park, along Westbrook. There's spots in both areas where there's been slope failures, and that's why we submitted applications to remediate the slope failures in those two sites.
Is the scope of work on both those pretty much the same?
It's similar, but no. The scope of work on South Street would probably most likely closely mimic what was done on the Terrace Avenue, where that was restored a few years ago. They put stone along the base of the river, and then vegetation to the top of the bank. In the park, there would be some slope stabilization, but the soil and water and CWC were not CWC, excuse me, DEP, a lot of acronyms. We're concerned with the alignment of the stream and kind of the lack of a dedicated floodplain and certain types of vegetation in that area. So if that project were to be advanced, it would be concentrating more on resetting the stream width and elevation, and putting vegetation in along the edge of the stream, probably moving the
that be cleaned up?
We somewhat, we wanna kind of pitch it the right way. Right now, when you go around the corner, kind of where the well is, there's kind of a knob of material in there, so water can't get back into the stream the way it needs to when the water with high water event comes in. So there'd be some regrading and kind of pitching.
They talking riprap or?
Some along the back edge of the bank, but not much, because there is some vegetation there. And, you know, we wouldn't wanna, take that out and just put riprap in.
Right.
One of the limitations of the funding is that they try to stay away from a lot of riprap. One of the projects we did after the flood was, below Park Street along East Brook, where we used a lot of riprap because it was, the road was, the bank was caving in right close to the road, and it was, you know, straight up for 75 feet, so that we used a lot of rock for. That approach is not favored by this funding track. They're more in favor of using more vegetation and different types of methods.
Well, I wanted to throw it out there.
Some, like, I mean, like you said, the Terrace Avenue work that was done a few years ago, you know, they used riprap to stabilize the lower portion of the bank where water is hitting every day, to limit erosion that way. And then, you know, from there up is green, you know, different types of plantings, and there's specific ones that are better suited. So that's more the approach that this funding is going after.
And how likely is it that any one application would be approved?
I asked that question, I didn't get an answer. You know, to say what, exactly that, what, you know, and probably, I asked that, yeah.
I think,
Would you think, I'm sorry, Charlie, you want to?
yeah, I think, looking at the two, it would seem that the Austin Lincoln would have a bigger impact on the village, in that if it does collapse, you know, soil is pushed down into the village, down the streets, where the South Street project is basically beyond the village. So I guess, looking at the two, I think it probably would be more advantageous for the village to pursue the park versus the South Street.
I have a difference of opinion, which is, I think, I'm hoping that if they see that this is affecting Maureen's property, this is like Terrace Avenue. I forgot the lady's name that was over there. In Terrace Avenue, her property.
Pomeroy.
Mrs. Pomeroy. She had about 10 or 15 feet of property that was removed to be getting close to the garage. Maureen Walker lives over on South Street. She's probably lost about a good 20, 25 feet of property around.
Even back when Cortland was there that long ago, there was a shed there of it just closer to 50.
So it's getting closer and closer, so I'm just wondering, and when you know if it's gonna get to a person's home or residence, that might be a little bit of a priority too. So we have differences.
Bill, since you've had a couple of years to evaluate what you did over on Terrace Avenue, do you think that method has been successful?
I think the Terrace Avenue work along the river, I think Soil and Water coordinated that. I don't have first-hand knowledge of it, but just drive, I mean, it looks to have stabilized. So it seems like a proven approach, and, you know, we did site visits with Soil and Water and Planning and DEP, or Delaware County Planning Representatives and DEP. And, you know, that was kind of their first thought of, you know, how to fix that one. And then the one in the park was more about realigning the stream, reestablishing floodplain. You know, our initial concern about the one at the park is when you drive up Townsend Street to go to Franklin Romiani, you look down off to the left and it's straight down to the brook. If something were to happen to that bank, which does have some trees and whatnot, there's the road itself, obviously, that's a designated truck route, has water, sewer, and gas in it. You know, if something were to happen to that road, it'd be, you know, bad for those, and cost a lot of fix. So, you know, that was why we initially submitted the pre-application and put it on the radar. In my own personal take on when we did the site visit, it seemed like the bank wasn't as much of not a priority, but as much of a concern there as reestablishing the floodplain and reestablishing the grade of South Street, the bank is definitely the primary concern, because it has, you know, encroached upon the roadway, on the bridge side, and then into private property, as it goes down. There's also just south of Maureen's property, and there's another private property owner, and then the fairgrounds. Just as the property becomes the fairgrounds, our water line and our gas line that go across the river are right in that area. So if there was something, you know, if that continues to encroach and there was something catastrophic that happened there, that would be an area of concern, and it's the main trunk line that goes, you know, to the sewer plant from this whole side of the river.
Well, we're hoping to have another gas line there.
Yes, a little bit further.
Further south?
Yeah, but, and they're in that area. So there's a number, there's private property, there's South Street, you know, as you're driving, as Stockton Avenue becomes South Street there, you know, that's where you look down and you're right at the river, you know, it's the same situation as.
Well, this company used to go down to the
Yeah.
fairgrounds.
There's a fire hydrant right there, there's a light pole, there's water, sewer, and gas in that area. So if that bank goes, you know, if it's gonna take the road, it's gonna take, you know, one or multiple utility lines. And, you know, from the funding agency perspective, if one of those if the sewer line breaks or the water line breaks, you're gonna be dumping into the river, which is affecting their water quality. So if we can do something on the forefront to mitigate, that from happening, that's what the money's supposed to go towards, to stop, you know, soil from continuing to go into the water supply, which is obviously ultimately New York City.
If you, and you're near its crystal ball, if nothing was done with either site, and time goes on, is one site more likely than the other to continue to deteriorate at a quicker rate, more significantly, or does it jump all?
I could flip a coin, but, you know, both have their pros and cons. You know, that one, to me personally, jumps out a little more because you've seen the change, over the years as it's encroached and encroached and encroached. The one in the park, you know, it's changed the park around, with exactly where the soil is and exactly where the water flows, this flood event versus next flood event. But it hasn't, taken the land that was taken from, you know, my own personal, you know, what I've seen.
The precedence, I guess, has been set with Pomeroy House in Terrace Ave and now Maureen's house. I know at least one of the residents along the river. How does one present if somebody wants to have the village to look for funding, grant money to do stream repair work? How would they do that? If that's what they wanted to do.
I mean, it's something where we reach out to, you know, the mayor and the board to bring it to our attention, you know, and, you know, that'll probably turn into a phone call to Roger and myself to go look at it. I think we know most of the kind of the trouble spots in the village, and that's what kind of preempted, you know, these two spots initially was, you know, we got the notice that the money's out there this year. And this program has been in place for several years, and it's been funded, ultimately it comes from New York City, but through soil and water. You know, the program's been funded over the years, so, you know, if we got one funded this year, we could ask again next year. If we didn't get either funded this year, we could ask again next year, you know, assuming there's a continuation of funding for that program.
And is the anticipation that, say, either project, doesn't matter, that there would be enough funding to completely cover the cost of either project?
I don't know how much money
Crystal
they have.
ball,
Yeah. I didn't see, and I don't know how much money's in the pot for the area, because it's not just, you know, our submitting, it's, you know, every municipality that's in the watershed that, is in Delaware County is going after the same pot of money.
So whatever project we pick, you'll go a little bit further with and see how much money you think it will cost to complete
Right.
the project, and then you submit it that way.
Right, there's a full application that's due a week from today. zoning or an application to, come up with a cost estimate for what the project is gonna cost to fix it, to redo it. Describe the project, pros and cons, who's it gonna help, what's it gonna mitigate against, if there, you know, if the bank continues to go, it's gonna take away private property, potentially go to a house, utilities.
And this is
that kind of
what
thing.
you and your crew does, the application.
Yeah, that.
So you really need to know from us, to give you guys time to pull that off, you're really looking to be here.
I'm
with-
sorry, yes,
Decision
I'm
tonight.
trying to get a point there,
Yeah.
A or B or B or A, tonight, to give it,
So
I don't know how you get an answer to A or B without your information. Which roadway is in more dire need of stabilization?
I think he said it twice already.
I know, I wanna hear it. He hasn't really come out and
You've lost more land over there, and you've had more impact on your properties,
here.
on that side of the river.
And the thing up at the park, that's from a flood per se, right? And then
Yeah,
follow
that's
up
changed
where
around the characteristics of the stream itself. It's
the South Street, that's not necessarily the reason, the flood didn't help it, but that's just steady erosion for a couple, 2 or 3 decades.
every high rain, is gonna hurt it a little bit. There's there's spots that are better and there's spots that are worse. There's some trees and there's some vegetation. I know there's been some, plantings done on portions of that bank by different groups, that have definitely helped. But it probably needs something more, comprehensive to be a final fix.
I was glad to see they could get the guardrails beyond.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that road, you could see when we went out and looked at it again, that the road itself is, along the bank where the guardrails went, is settled a couple inches.
Right.
And,
That's not a good sign.
The road starts going like this, you know.
and it's not all the way
Yeah, we
across
go
the
home
road.
sideways.
It's a few, 4 or 5 feet from the guardrails in, the road had settled, and, I think that got filled in a little bit when the paving was done to shim it, to level it out, but it settled because the bank is ever so slowly.
I know what Charlie is saying, I don't disagree at all with what he's saying, I guess, in balance, listening to you and what I know of the properties, I guess my leaning would be to go towards South Street. So that,
So we're talking the impact, the significant impact on one property, one person's property versus downstream from Austin Lincoln all the way down to the river.
Is the better
that
part
could
of the
have-
village.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I mean, the kind of the one saving grace on that area is the park is there. When flood events happen, they happen to the park, and, ultimately, there's properties downstream of it. But it's not, the water's got a little bit more room to go in that area. Hopefully it goes out to the park and not taken away from the bank where the road is right above it. There's no definitive.
clear,
Right. And there, like I said, we can
if
go
there
after
were,
it
we
again.
wouldn't be doing this.
Right, exactly. It's, most decisions you guys make, everything has its pros and cons. So there's that as well.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Well, I guess we can make 2 motions and see which way everybody goes for. I'll make the motion for over on South Street.
And I'll second it.
Anybody, all in favor of South Street?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
And I'll make the motion that we do the Austin Lincoln project. And there's no vote second.
Okay, so South Street would be the plan.
We'll get
Thank you.
we'll get the paperwork around, with Rob and Jody, and try to ask you to sign it probably next Monday morning.
Yep.
The next one on our list isn't nearly as contentious. The CWC funding, CWC flood hazard mitigation implementation grants, money that CWC has put out, I think had $17 million allocated, to go towards projects that, are identified in local flood analyses that have been done. The village is, I think, one of maybe 2 in the watershed that actually has one done at this point. grant money to fund projects identified in those reports. Through the flood commission, 3 applications were submitted. CWC came back and asked some questions, so we've got to respond to that in cooperation with the town, Delaware County Planning, Soil and Water. I think
Thursday morning, 10 o'clock, the meeting, there's like 7 of us meeting regarding that.
to come up,
Somebody from the CWC in the town and the village and, let's see, the town, the village, myself, huh? The planning board
Sally,
and, what's the name of it? And, yeah.
Just I don't know, everybody's working on that.
Again, could they just, CWC wants some information, which we
Yeah.
have already, it's just a matter
It has to be
of
organized.
soil and water having it, the town has part of it, we have some of it, and the guy, the Malone and
Yeah, the firm that did.
the firm that did our
Yeah,
study,
okay.
they have a lot of the other information. So we're just all gonna sit down, make sure it gets the information, then we're ready to go, it's just a matter of getting paper out.
Everything else in there is just the different letters that we got, so that's all I have to ask.
Thank you, Bill. John Moffett.
Thanks.
Hi,
Thank you.
how's things? Better?
I'm really better, thank you.
Good. Yeah, hopefully that, we're gonna start looking at, you see the basic report from the wastewater plant, there's nothing other than, we had a couple of violations, and I had a call into Andy Cyril, what was going on with the ammonia in the DL. I didn't have a chance this morning to track that down, whether they leave the voicemail, I haven't heard back from them, but, as you know, with this project over here, we're starting to, in the swing basin, the MBT is completely offline, that's where Lockheed Road was coming from, was the swing basin. And then we did put the new diffusers into the sludge holding tanks. So we are starting this week to put the new diffusers in the swing basin. That should be done, there'll be another piping change. We'll hook into that, but that work will all be taken care of within the next week. We're not putting anything online until,
Let's wait.
until Kester Associates are now manufacturing replacement diffusers for the equipment, for the MBT in itself. They're changing.
We're gonna put it straight rather than going
Yes.
wiggling.
Oh,
You know, we threw the design at them, they approved it, and they're taking care of it.
And
It would seem maintenance would be easier too, if it's just a
Absolutely.
straight line.
Absolutely. That's the only system they said that they put in that has that. And I said, well, they can.
Oh, yeah,
But meanwhile, we've lost money and time and everything because of it.
All right. Chemicals for odor control and what have you has been.
So you're hitting them up for some extra money for all that stuff,
That's
correct?
Yes. We sent the notice to a dollar amount out, we're just waiting to hear back.
Because you kept back a certain amount of money for them, correct?
We're holding roughly 70,000.
That's what I thought, okay.
How's the odor control, how did that fashion out with the finance?
That's working well. Our deal levels are up in the sludge holding tanks.
Great.
We're running 0.6 is a low. We've been as high as a 3 in the tanks, which, yeah.
Those people that will tell you that if it doesn't smell, no matter what else is going wrong over there, it's working properly.
Right. In the dewatering project, the equipment again, that's scheduled for September. We can't push that along any further or any faster than it is. This abstract at the base, I just showed it to Jody tonight, so we're gonna let her absorb it. We're gonna talk about it some further, so we're not gonna bother discussing it this evening. Just so everybody's aware of what we're looking at, we're having some differences between our numbers, because we do the abstract, Joey does your books to reconcile with New York City. So there's a slight difference, so we're trying to look at a way to meld our numbers a little better, so we're all on an even playing field. One thing we looked at was monthly after Jody gives us the abstract for the month, we'll send it back to her. What we typically do is wait till we want almost the entire year and try to reconcile.
That's,
Yeah.
It's crazy to do it that way.
what do the other places that you, villages and towns that you deal with?
Stanford and Delhi, we do it monthly. We send it back to them and they're fine. And we, the city, yours and the city, yours and Delhi, I believe, we send it to them every quarter.
That's all electronic, I guess they send it back and forth.
Yes, it's all done electronically, yep.
And there's no problem with software or that.
No, well, that's one thing Jody and I were talking about, that's why we wanna wait. We want her to look at it, I will find more information out as to what the other towns are using, for software. And if it's something Jody has, great, if it's something she needs, we'll see what we can do with working into the, budget. The only other thing we have to bring up, both of the air compressors at the plant are starting to go. I don't have verbal numbers, so I'm not gonna give them to you, because the guy just threw out an astronomical couple of numbers on repairing the equipment. I think it was 15,000 a piece to replace them. But they also wanted to look at the airline, because of 15 years of moisture, even with the dryers on, the pipes have taken a beating. We did replace the upper pipes, I wanna say within the last 5 years, with stainless, so we're gonna check those as well. But before we have any numbers, we're gonna, or before I give you any numbers, I wanna make sure we have something in writing from them, and also that should be 100% DEP. So, that's a blessing.
I like that one.
Yeah, I thought you would. So, that's pretty much all I have, unless you have any questions.
Give buttons, like 100% DEP.
We
Yeah.
We can get it for you.
All right, thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Steve?
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
Steve.
I've got my report. Questions, comments, complaints? I don't have much else. I know last month I had asked for some money to abate a couple of properties, and lo and behold, they took care of themselves.
Oh, that's always
So I didn't have to spend any money.
That's always a good thing.
When I'm gonna ask for some money again, I have another property, 10 Griswold Street. It seems that somebody, potentially in the neighborhood, has decided that's a really good place for their unwanted couches and
Oh, it's not a
lounge
couch
chairs
out there.
and,
Is that the house that's red and tan?
Yeah,
So the couches and chairs.
yeah. And this is one of the properties that I've had to deal with for the last couple of years. Mowing their lawn all the time, shoveling their walk all the time. I don't expect a response. Letter went out, notice violation went out, I believe the 30th. Has 30 days to respond, so prior to the next meeting, I would be looking to abate that if possible. Hire somebody to go in, get the garbage out there. It would be properly moved, because we're still mowing.
You have a feel for it's about $200, you think?
I can't imagine to be, I hate to throw numbers out there, but a couple hundred. Most.
Is it local on it?
No.
Again.
Do we need a motion to authorize?
Yes.
I also move that we authorize the code enforcement officer to spend up to $300 as needed to have the trash taken off the 10 Griswold Street property.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Beyond that, my CRS endeavors continue. I had some email communication with the guy that's gonna come score. He sent me some homework, so we got a lot more work to do, but that's moving along, nothing that's insurmountable. I believe it will be ready.
And he's coming in August?
He's coming August 17th, first day of the fair. But we should be in good shape.
What do you know about the reporter building?
Let's see, the reporter building, goal is to have it down by Fair Week. And at this point, I I know utilities have been contacted, DigSafe's been contacted. We're trying to finish up getting stuff organized. They still gotta get somebody to come in and take the paint and chemicals and that stuff that was left behind out of there properly.
The property that was in there has been removed?
Anything that the previous owner had his opportunity to remove whatever he wanted to remove. So anything that's left there. There'll be a lot of scrap metal. I mean, they're not just gonna demolish it, they're gonna pick through it as best they can. A lot of old shelving and all of that kind of stuff that will add good weight to the scrap metal. Try to give everybody and their grandmother an opportunity to, you know, take, buy, whatever, stuff out of there. So now we're getting down to, get it out of there and get it down.
Okay.
The county has stepped aside to let us go forward with this, or are they still?
If it's gonna end up, no, is it gonna be a vehicle roadway? Not for sure, okay.
Now all they're gonna do there is take the property, for now, take the property down, make it a green area. So it's just gonna be a green area
No,
right
I just had a nightmarish.
now. That was the original thought of doing something like that, but
I just had nightmarish thoughts of if it was a vehicle pathway at all during Fair Week, when Delaware Street is jammed up, people cutting back through, then we got another traffic jam behind the stores on Water Street, coming out of that.
Yeah.
No, the idea for now is, green space.
Okay.
the new bridge we're putting in will work.
The next week,
I
right?
remember first coming here, they talked about that, putting the bridge over on that side, would be nice. Okay.
That's pretty much all I got.
Any other questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Chief? So the only one I say chief to. You got the gun.
You decide to stay with us after you've been doing this now?
It's on a day-to-day, so don't forget.
Don't push it, let's
That didn't work out so good for us last month. I guess probably one of the biggest things for us right now is, we did lose Chris. But thankfully, Tahir was available and wanted to come, this is Tahir Hot,
Thank you.
I think everybody met, it
Yes.
was pretty tied up, so. With the loss of Chris, a lot of things have changed actually in the PD. A lot of people, everybody had to step up. Brian has primarily taken over operations of the PD, the day-to-day operations, with me overseeing him. Devin is now doing all of our investigations. Tahir found out the very first night what it's like to be a Walton PD officer. It was a good one.
I know we was busy over the weekend.
Oh, boy. On Holden and Oliver, obviously, they're taking care of all the patrol stuff for us. And one of the things I really need to mention also, besides the fact that how much Brian's taken on, is Rich. Rich has stepped up, he's taken over our computer systems, and I'll tell you what, he is a huge asset to the police department.
Good to hear.
Yeah, exactly, we like to hear that.
Yeah.
The new car's back, and as you guys have seen, it's all straight up.
Well, seriously, because, you know, we'll get reports on the officers, and you introduce new people to us, and you do your report, Rich just sort of sits there. Obviously, he's working out, but to hear something more specific than, yeah, it's okay, this is fantastic.
He never gets to set.
Oh.
We're gonna run, but yeah, he is a vital part of that police department right now.
Awesome, good to hear.
New car is back from where it was damaged, thanks to the mayor calling up and yelling at him.
Made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. It's been striped, and the guys like it. I don't know how well the community's gonna, community don't like it, I don't know how well.
They probably like it unless it's in their rear view mirror.
Right.
Yeah,
They like it from a distance.
it's a very unique,
Is
striping.
that more common, or is that
It's
really?
becoming,
Really?
it's becoming, that's what happens when you take the two youngest guys out of the police department and say, go ahead, stripe up the car. That's what you get.
Good for them.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they definitely brought us around, for sure. We'll be contacting KJVL to set up the rest of it, and it should be in service here soon, I hope. The other car will be going now that that one's back to be straight,
Nice,
so.
thank you.
We purchased 2 more portable radios, which is bringing us up to where we probably should be for all of our part-time guys, because there's so many that we use during Fair Week. So brand new batteries for all of them, so we're really set pretty good there. We're gonna try to take care of range this month, and get it done.
Take care of what?
The range, firing range. And the one thing that's coming up for us that's gonna be, and I'm sure you guys are aware of it, is the 150th year anniversary of the fire department.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, they have a pretty large parade planned, and it's gonna shut down some traffic for a while. So we're gonna be bringing in a bunch of guys to help deal with that, and hopefully that'll go as smooth as it can. Other than that, sweet.
Body cameras, update?
Body cameras, right now, we've kind of looked into them, and I actually spoke with Aaron a little bit about this. My concern with body cameras is the unforeseen cost that is gonna accompany that. Once that video is obtained, it has to be held practically forever, if it's evidentiary at all. And there's gonna be a large sum of money spent on building a database that will hold that. And that's something that doesn't come up when you look at a $300 body camera.
No.
The other thing that comes up with that is they are very fragile, and we're finding that out from other agencies.
Really?
And our guys are just like any other typical cop. They're, you know,
Not a fragile job.
yeah, it's not, you know, you're in and out of cars, you get knocked off your shirt, they're broke. Once that policy and procedure's in place, we're obligated. It's like our AED, it's like, you know, certain other things. So, you know, at this point, until we get on better financial standings, I really think we need to hold off a little bit longer on that.
Well, and you know, maybe the next generation of body cameras will be made differently so that they are stronger.
Kind of talk about that
Yeah.
type of thing, yes. Yeah. Something that I'm concerned that we're gonna get into something that we're then obligated to and have to maintain, and, you know, budget restraints are tough enough right now. If we start having to replace computer systems and stuff to,
Be careful
Handle
what
that
you ask
data.
for, yeah.
Would, the images captured on body cams, they'd be FOIA
oh,
eligible, so
absolutely,
we
sure.
have to
Yeah.
not only have, as you say, building a database, but have the capability to extract that and produce it.
Submit it, sure, on a whim, well, on a request, I should say,
Yeah.
Sure.
on a request.
How are we doing on shifts, getting shifts?
The 10-hour shifts, well, other than Misty hates me right now for the last payroll, they're in place. They've been in place since the first. Thankfully, to you guys hiring Tahir and getting him in here that quickly. We've been able to, you know, everything's filled. There's certain overlap days that work really well. We're utilizing some of our stuff, you know, the and step money for those times when we just need that little bit more.
Good.
So it seems to be working well so far. I know the guys like it because they're gone for 3 days and I can't go home.
Part of it, I assume part of it, just getting used to a new system and the initial wrinkles and bumps.
Payroll this time actually fell right in the middle. And it was like a worst case, it was a worst case scenario. I had going from 8s to 10s, I had Chris leaving, I had Tahir coming on, it just, poor Misty. Thank God for Misty, because she screamed it out.
So hopefully it will be easier from here.
It should be much easier, yeah.
Baked goods help a lot.
Do they? Yeah, well, we'll have to make, we'll take care of that. I have to do that for the guys too. This is getting expensive.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
All right, thank you.
To you,
Thank
I'd like
you,
to say
Dan.
thank you, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And be aboard.
Oh, chief, I did have one question.
Never
forgot.
good when, never good when he goes with that.
We had done with about the gun, the 38.
Yes.
We had someone who asked to purchase an old 38 snub nose revolver that we've had in the locker for years and years and years. And I asked the chiefs to get a estimate. Now we gotta go through the process and find out how to actually do it, probably through, I don't know, if to go through the pistol department, license, I'm sure that's what it is.
Yep.
Well, the SAFE Act may or may not I don't know how much the police department gets, and I don't mean bad, like, oh, quite the opposite, gets around the SAFE Act, but how much of it applies strictly to, but there might be something with the SAFE Act that historically didn't seem to be necessary that now would be, because I know like even transferring guns between family members, well, gifting is
It's a
a
whole issue.
stupid big issue now,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
or
it's got-
procedure, put it that way, it is.
Yeah, someone who asked was in law enforcement, and was that an old gun that someone,
No, that gun actually was purchased by the police department, if I'm correct, because the records are so old on it. That gun has been with the police department longer than I have.
Yeah.
And I've been here almost 25 years, and I know it was there, that was shown to me one of the first things, this old gun. So, it's belonged to the police department for, I believe, since it was there.
yeah, in fact, well,
Now, Charlie was asking, and I don't know the answer, is that something we have to put out for bid to let
See,
people know?
that's something I kind of refer to Jody on stuff like that, I really don't know. We've never done this.
Yeah,
see, that would be a different thing, because you have to have, in order to even buy something like that, you're gonna have to have a permit, you're gonna have to be cleared, you're gonna have to be, so it's not
Background
something,
checks and all
a lot of
that.
background checks, so it's not something you can just say, hey, we got a gun, how much we got for it, you know what I mean, it's one of those things you can do.
Right.
But you need to check with the
but do we even need to do that, I guess that's my question, or can, you know.
pistol
since-
clerks, I'm sure would be able to tell us.
Yeah.
First thing you need to do is declare it as surplus, so that it then could take the next step when you find out what that's gotta be.
But if somebody, I know if somebody, say somebody dies and wills it to somebody, if the person that is receiving the gun doesn't have a pistol permit, it has to go to a gun shop, they hold it at some expense, and then when the new person, new owner to be, ends up with a pistol permit, then it can be transferred from the, in fact, from the gun shop then to the new owner.
But we need to now declare it out of,
Declare it surplus.
declare it surplus.
Okay, well, I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we can go to the next
One more
step.
question, Chief.
Sure.
That gun doesn't have anything on it as far as, police, does it?
No, it's an older,
I think it's old.
Is Clyde Mossberg's initials?
I guess so old. I bought one when I first came on the job. It's not too old on that, right? It's just an old.
that was the first gun right after St.
No kidding, that was
Right after the flick shot. Right after the Flintstones, yeah, I got it. Roger.
How's the catch basin working out with the truck?
It works really well. The only issue we've been having is, guys taking vacation in summertime, so having the manpower to get a two-man team to run it.
Sure.
But it's been working excellent for that. Let's keep the streets clean, obviously.
I think that they're doing a good job, I gotta tell you. I mean, Park Street, they did a clean up there, put the new pipe down, the drain down, that went great. They just did the sidewalk over on Mead Street, that came out really good.
Yeah, it's good.
I gotta say, yeah. They're
18 months actually,
really doing a good job.
Well, I mean, it's getting old at this point, but the street cleaning function itself is so much better. Well, this is like too obvious to bother mention, but I mean, just the cleaning, the quality of the cleaning itself when it goes down the side of the road. The old one left, the old one tended to just group it together and give you a nice wash.
Right. You rearrange it more than.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's good for both.
You want to talk about air conditioning?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's what
AC,
you're looking
yeah.
to talk about is
Yeah.
the AC unit, in the theater, most of the AC units have pretty much burned out, we've only got, I don't remember, one or two going now. And the reason being, once again, not installed correctly, no cutoff switches on them, so they continuously run until they completely burn themselves out.
Oh,
So we looked it over and decided that the best thing to do is the one that's right over top of this screen itself, that actually the audience area would be, we think, personally, the ones that start with, if we are gonna put some money into fixing.
Was that part of the AMC's bid, or was that only heating stuff that they did?
The first time was only the heating. This is when they look at all the air conditioning. If we don't fix at least this much, what we're doing now, it's gonna damage the rest that's over there, and it's all gonna just collapse. But doing this will be enough to keep it going, that we shouldn't have any problems, I think. That unit itself that we're gonna be taking care of should be enough, suffice to take care of everything for now.
It's gonna keep the one that is running toward the other end, so it doesn't have to do all the work, you know what I mean, check straight.
Sure.
There are some other units in there that do not work, and we just thought, we can get the one going, up and going.
So just decoy air conditioners.
Excuse me?
Just decoy air conditioners.
Yeah. Pretty much. Deal with thermostats, so.
No.
But we had some, estimate onto it, and, we met, we discussed, that we bring it to the board and see what the board's thoughts were.
Yeah, ANC came down, we sat down with Roger, and I think was there, and this is the suggestions they made.
Now, when AMC with the heating, it was more of a permanent fix of a long-standing problem, because we had been doing Band-Aids for years and years, and necessarily so. Is this more of a Band-Aid, or is this a fix?
This is a fix for this particular unit in this area,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It would-
Yep.
It would be a fix,
Okay.
you know.
We wouldn't bring it to you if it wasn't something that was
Valid.
Yeah. No, yeah, good.
it's just gonna be a piecemeal thing, and they'll go back into the old days again.
Right.
Go to the old boards.
Motion.
You have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed?
need to know which one, because there's two options on there.
This
68?
First one, option one.
Okay.
Right. Do you wanna talk about the 16 sidewalk request now, or later, or come up later?
Yep, go ahead.
Let's do it.
I guess we got letters, homeowner that, I believe, when they talked to me, they requested a 50/50 program, where they do.
What address is that?
16 flat, where they do the labor, and we send the cement truck there, and they fix your sidewalk. And we've done it in the past, we haven't done it lately, we haven't had a request.
Okay. But when we do this, is
Oh,
like.
this is phenomenal.
What they do is, the homeowner does all the labor, tears it out, puts the forms in, and finishes the concrete. I just go figure out how much, and then we keep an eye on it as we're doing it, because we did have one problem, one issue years ago, it didn't turn out so well. But
Okay.
at the village, is still willing to do that program. Just guesstimate, I'm thinking at someplace 8 to 9 yards, maybe close to $1,000.
She's put an unbelievable amount of effort into it.
Effort,
Clean
yeah.
that place up, and it's changed the whole neighborhood.
I'll make the motion to do that.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And I did have one more thing to look
I
at.
don't know, like,
That,
how much?
a surprise.
This time, I think we might bring some in. We have some items on auction, on, the shop roller, skid steer, and actually some other stuff that we picked up over the years, and we thought we would be worth some money. Friday's the last day for the auction.
Last Friday or this?
This coming Friday, been seeing some board meetings falling, might end up to, I'm gonna end up having to wait till next month to release the items. Been talking with Tim, who's on the committee, and, I don't like, have Excel right now, but I think they're going very well on the auction. And is there any possible way I can get permission from the board to use myself and the committee?
I make a
It is-
motion that
When it's done, we can just release them.
Giving you the authorization.
Yes, please.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
That's it
Painless.
for me.
No,
Painless.
no, we'll get up yet.
Better run before you call me back.
No, I didn't want to call you back. When are you gonna talk about the electric?
all the actually be put the pole service in warranty. Okay. But also, either Jody or you have to call Bingham.
Yeah, Bassacom, they put the electric.
Maybe it's in
Because they're gonna need a job order number.
I have a tab order number. That
Already?
they gave me for the disconnect and reconnect.
Excellent.
Okay, so that's done.
That's all I need.
Yep.
I'll get that from you.
Yep.
Thanks.
And we're gonna need okay for some money?
Not at this time.
No?
No.
Not before the next meeting?
Not before next meeting? Oh, okay, then we're good. All right, I just wanna make sure we're covered, so, yeah, right. Now, yes, thank you,
One more thing.
thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, now, number 3, this is for public input. If anyone would care to have a few minutes to talk, please raise your hand and I'll give you time. Yes, sir?
Maureen couldn't make it tonight, she hurt her back, so I'm kind of here replacing her to represent the chamber. And what we're here about is the location of the flagpole at Bassett Park. The chamber feels that the location would be better put up towards the front, where we had the little flare thing stuck in the ground up there, and not put it in the back of the field. And I didn't know what the reason the village decided that they felt it should be in the back.
We kind of, Mr. Mayor, Matt?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've already said my
Yeah.
point.
We, the board went over it, looked at it, we kind of walked around where the gazebo is, where the old gazebo was, and just looking at the whole area. And I think we came up with the decision that back against the foot of the hill would give a, if you had a flag ceremony, say the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts or the Girl Scouts or a church group wanted to do a flag raising ceremony, that they could do that at the pole with everybody else in front of it, kind of a semicircle with the mountain to the background. In addition, that pulls it away from the playground area, so it's not interfering with the kids playing around or activities there. So it's back, it's still center, it's also close to power if sometime we need to run power light down onto the flag all the time. So those are some of the things that we kind of looked at when we went forward and came up with the decision to put it in the back.
Hey, I've talked to several people, particularly veterans. I also did a little ride around town today to see where the American flagpole was put in front of any building, particularly municipalities, including here. The pole is out front, not out back. The school, it's out front, not out back. The fire department, it's out front,
But those
not
are
out
different
back.
kind of settings. That's a building versus a park.
Okay, but still to put the American flag in the back, I
don't
don't feel, and
close
neither,
everything.
and neither do most of the people that I've talked to, especially veterans. that-
I'm a veteran, we have 3 veterans here. You really wanna go into that, I've talked to other people that are veterans, and they thought what we're putting is fine. So, I can probably get as many veterans as you spoke to that say that where we're putting it is good. And for me personally, to think that we're trying to hide the flag and put it in the back is very insulting, because that's not what we're doing. So
Well,
I
I'm sorry you
think
take
it
that
is.
as an insult, Ed, but
Well, I think it is.
I'm not a veteran, but I've rode around, I've looked, and I've said, wait a minute, and the people I've talked to felt the same way, that let's
People
put
I
it
talked to
out
said the
in
other
front.
way, they said it would fine there, it wouldn't be good or front. So, I mean, we can go back and forth on who we talk to.
And is it a matter of money, a light comes with it, we bought the light to go with it to uplight. If it's a matter of money for the power, the chamber can take care of that, we're not expecting,
Well, I think it's a matter of money. I think we just the aesthetics and just standing back and imagining where it would be and
To put it in the middle
stuff.
of the playground with children are running around.
No, we never, we
Well,
went
that's
to
what the
the
reflector was, we went over them, so.
It was behind the 2 trees with that
Two
big
trees and
urn.
the urn, and it's right behind that. I mean,
Right.
The playground's on the other side.
yeah.
Having played there as a
Area.
child, that whole area is a playground.
Yes, thank you.
Me and the kids used to play over there in the neighborhood. My aunt lived across the street. And Keith, I'll tell you, and I'll echo what the mayor said, I'm a veteran. I served in Afghanistan. My father was a veteran. He served in World War II. My great-grandfather served in the Civil War. There are a lot of veterans in our family who fought for our country, and to insinuating that by putting it back there, we are trying to be derogatory to our flag, I take great offense to that too. Gregory's have served for a long time in this nation, as many men and women in this village have, so that is not a factor, should not even be a factor. What it comes down to, what we looked at is what's best for the community, and we felt that having it back there would still serve a place of honor and still allow the maximum capable space for youngsters to play in the park, to have picnics or whatever. So that's kind of why we came with the place it is.
It's not so much the flag per se as the pole being right in the middle of whatever is going on, weddings, photo ops, the playground. And my thought was if it moved it back a little toward the, not at the very foot, because where the stake is now is out a ways, is you could end up actually having a little sitting area. You know, I walk the dogs, and there's the entrance to the library off Gardner. They've got flowers, a little circular area, a couple benches, and one of the flower pots in the middle. And it's a great little place just to sit and gear down. Sometimes it works with the dogs, sometimes it doesn't. But you have almost its own little area back there, which if anything would accentuate the fact that it was just a nice little peaceful area back there with the flag. I don't know how tall the flagpole is, I guess it's fairly substantial.
25.
25 feet.
But, yeah, but instead of, nobody even thought about hiding it, it was quite the opposite of
We're not,
not having it be
we're
a
not-
nuisance. you
We're
know?
not insinuating hiding it that by any means. I think our general consensus was to put it towards the front where it's gonna be visible from whether you come up Griswold Street or down the other streets or whatever. And it would be very visible, coming up through there and not be in the way of anything.
So I just thought it, to an extent, some of it's a personal preference thing, granted, and it's which side of the, some people like red, some people like blue. But if you stand back, and to me, it verges on being almost more visible, being back a little, because if it's a 20-foot high pole and you're too close to it, you're gonna see the pole. Where if it's back further, with your peripheral vision, you're actually gonna see more of the flag, and it's a big enough flag. It's not like we're putting it at the end of a 200-yard run. It's not that far away from the street, not that big a park.
So I have a question for you. Charlie, I'm a veteran. I don't wear it on my sleeve, 14 years. My dad was a veteran, 30 years. 2 sons, Afghanistan, Iraq, the whole thing. So I know where you're coming from.
And a husband.
And my husband, yeah. If that pole goes back there, are you gonna leave farther back where it is? Are you gonna leave enough room out of that area that floods, that if the chamber, if we decided we wanna donate some benches and do something, that it won't get washed away?
Absolutely, I don't have a problem with that. We were just talking about that before, doing some, having areas.
Because that gets so wet, so, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way it is. The water comes down off of that hill, and it's like,
I wouldn't.
Swamp City.
I'll be personally, no, matter of fact, we were talking about that. I
Yeah.
mean, that was one of the first things we had said, to make its own area, to have some benches and some bushes. and
Pavers
stuff.
built around it, or, built up and then.
They would
the
probably
flowers
take
around
up
it.
too much space if the flagpole were out more in the park, like where the stake originally was. You'd probably only be able to have the pole there because of its location between the playground and the gazebo.
And you got the 2 trees, don't forget
In
the
the
2
middle.
trees you got right there, right by where the urn is. You got the urn, and you got the 2 trees, and the flag would have been back, I guess, like 15 feet back, or where.
15, 20 feet
Yeah.
back.
Feet back. So even when it, theoretically, if it's 25 feet high and you had the flag blown, if you're driving by, you might not even really see the flag itself, because you got the trees, what do you call them, the leaves, and stuff like that.
I don't know how
So
tall
I thought
it
about
is.
that too.
I don't know how tall it is, but there's a flagpole in front of the post office, good sized one. And I go by there all the time, walking the dogs. all they ever see is a pole unless you make an honest effort to look up.
I think that's probably a lot more than 25 feet.
Yeah, it's a little bit high, yeah.
Yeah, that one is, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I, you know,
So you won't put it in swampland back there, you'll get it out of there, so something could be done with it.
Oh, yeah.
For those that may not know, there's an underground, used to be a pipe at the foot of Upper Bassett Park, Lower Bassett Park. Used to be able to crawl through and climb under that when we were kids, smaller. So you still have a drainage area in the back there, and we would take that into consideration.
How big is the flag?
We didn't buy the flag yet, I think the flag's gonna be a 4 foot, or, it's 25 feet, so I think we have to put a 6-foot
good
flag or
size.
something like
I think it's
that.
a size.
6-foot
You're right.
flag, 4x6, I think.
4 by 6.
And then we've got the LED down like uplight that goes there. And then we have a little
There'll probably
blue
be,
stone plaque.
as far as the electric, there'll probably be a light on a pole back there. The light that you supplied with it is a ground light,
It's a ground light because this way.
which I only see getting kicked around or,
No, it shouldn't be, it is tamper-proof, and that's.
I
when-
understand it's tampered proof, but with the kids and so forth and so on. It'll be lit in the location that,
What plaque you talking about? I didn't see.
We haven't heard
yeah,
any.
stone.
A little blue stone thing that just
Pretty good
says,
size, it's probably
Pretty
that
good.
long, that wide, and that thick.
I don't know, I thought
Solid
Maureen talked to you
granite.
about, it just says donated by Walton Chamber of Commerce.
Did you give it to them already? You're gonna get it?
No,
We have-
Maureen has it. I
we
don't
have-
know.
Okay, I misunderstood that, I
Yeah.
thought.
She had somebody local.
Um,
I don't think we've heard anything.
Probably
about
that thick, probably about that long, that wide.
Yeah, she's, Noreen did been about getting football plaque for.
Okay. Well,
that'll be even with the ground?
it'll probably set on top of the ground, I imagine, just like the
Well-
one out here does and other ones in
To,
other areas.
I'm just talking
Not to
about
interfere,
trip hazard.
that's right, so you don't have to, it'll be put so, with your grounds guys, so you don't have to trim around, and that's a big thing. You've got enough things to do with mowers and guys having to
Right.
weed whack around, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't want a maintenance nightmare, we know that.
We want a motion?
No, we don't need a motion, what we do is this is a discussion.
Okay.
No, you're proud.
How do you feel about it, think? I mean, what's your, I mean, everybody else put their 2 cents in, you might as well put yours in.
I like it where you move the post to.
Okay.
I just wanna know it's not just one, or, everybody had, and I have been asking around like you too, I mean, I was
Well,
just,
I
you
think
get
the cha-
difference of opinion, we
the
all have
chamber
respect
just
for
felt
the
they'd
flag.
have a little bit of input on it, since how we're paying for it and donating it to the village, but I guess we don't,
You
so.
do, you just had your input, that is input.
Not on the preference for location. And
Well, you know-
our preference is different than yours,
Is
so.
it a gift or is it not a gift? Usually when you give somebody a gift, you give them a gift. You don't give them a gift and tell them what they're supposed to do with it. So if you're not happy with what the village wants to do with it, then I would say respectfully, we decline.
We'll bring it up at the chamber meeting, I have no problem with that. That's up to the chamber,
Yeah, not us.
not me personally.
I
But,
understand what you're saying.
Decline, meaning,
Okay.
Thank you, but, thank you. If they are insisting
mean
on
give it
telling,
back, you mean?
yes, if they're telling us what
Oh.
we have to do with it, where we have
oh,
to put
okay, I
it,
never thought of that.
that's, I mean, I.
we were just hoping we'd have a little input as to where it was gonna be located. The gazebo, there wasn't much input on that, but that put where somebody wanted it, I guess, from what
And
I heard.
that too is agreed, the board went over with that afterward. with special
No, that
meetings.
that wanted to be put all the way over to the far right, and the board went down, and everybody on the board agreed where they were gonna put that. It wasn't just, here it is, and you're gonna do it that way.
That's all I have.
Okay. Trustee reports,
Somebody else have-
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think I had anybody else with their hand up, I apologize. Huh?
Everybody
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with Tank, you have anything? Trustee report?
No, I think Roger's pretty well covered. I have
Dave?
The Pride Committee, met last passed on June 11th, did not meet, most recent meeting, the people couldn't get together, but they have a $1,000 grant from the O'Connor Foundation that was approved. Greg Groveman will be contacting Peg Bolton of, I think, Country Perennials, whatever, she has a piece in the paper every week. And they're looking at using at least some of the money for landscaping and shrubs near the area they're improving near that bank over by Feather and Stone. And they're also looking into getting some of this may have been done by now, because this goes back to June, almost a month ago, but looking to get some large tarps for killing Japanese knotweed, which is an extremely invasive weed. And doing some landscaping and mulch with bark chips in those areas. And they wanted me to mention Bob Vitti specifically at Renrest has been phenomenally helpful and supportive in assisting with reduced costs of materials, getting materials that we might not have even known about otherwise, and he just can't do enough for us, and he's doing it with no fanfare, no publicity, no nothing, he just does it. So we wanted to give a big thanks to Bob at Renrest for all he's done, and continues to do it. This wasn't a one-time thing at all, so thanks to him. Again, Greg is working on, and again, some of this is a little further along, just go back a month, working on getting the welcome to Walton signs placed at the entrances to the village. All the flower barrels that have been accounted for are up and planted, and they're looking pretty good this year. So far, so good with the watering. The next Pride meeting is this Thursday, the 9th, at 6:30 right here.
We've got a planning board meeting that night.
Guess it won't be there.
I guess, they do, I don't do Facebook, they do a lot of the stuff on Facebook, the next meeting and stuff, so I guess watch Facebook, and Roberta Austin.
Maybe give Roberta a call and tell her they
Yeah,
can't be here.
find out I'll check with her and see, but it will be, that when there's been a conflict, we've met either at the library or changed the time, but usually it's, we will meet at the library, I'll let Roberta know. And then watch Facebook, I guess, or call Roberta. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Charlie?
I have a couple things. This afternoon, one of the things that the Walton Theater Preservation Association has been looking into is putting a handicap access to the theater. And a gentleman came and gave Steve some proposed plans that he's gonna look at. At this time, this is a preliminary planning stage, but just to let you all know that that's one of the things that they're looking at doing. The chief mentioned that this weekend is gonna be the 150th anniversary for the Walton Fire Department. And some of the activities are gonna be coming forward. There's gonna be fire magic competition at 11 a.m. over at the fire hall, an open house at 1 p.m. The parade starts lining up at the fairgrounds at 2:30 p.m. and the parade itself sets off at 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. It'll start at the fairgrounds and end up at the fire hall. 7 p.m. at the fire hall, there'll be guest speakers. There'll be a band playing from 7 to 10, and there'll be a food vendor out for food if folks want to buy it, they go over there. And finally, there'll be fireworks display at dusk. So it's going to be a pretty big activity for the 150th anniversary.
Where will the fire, do you know specifically where the fireworks will
I think
be?
they're going to be marching from Moore Park.
Oh, really? Wow.
So everybody should be able to see it down there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Awesome. Great idea.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Trace.
Well, for the police committee, the chief took care of everything, thanks, sir. Recreation, swimming lessons have started, the arts and crafts and basketball, the activities have begun. First week of lessons was not very good weather-wise, and I think it rained 3 out of the 4 days, but the little ones are pretty sturdy, they're still out there in the water, so. But, and I thank Brian and his staff for all that they've done. And that's it.
I have nothing either, very really. Just want to say that we're doing pretty good as a village. We're in decent shape. DPW's done a lot of work. The roads look good, the sidewalks looking good. We're up to full strength in the police department. Not good, I don't want to say too much and jinx it, but we're doing pretty good right now. We're in good shape. we have a couple dollars, not a lot, but a couple dollars in the bank, so we're a lot better than we were a few years ago, so.
You mean literally a couple dollars?
That's Jody should say, the staff has been working, hard, so I mean, everybody has really been chipping in, so I'm pleased. Number 6, the 214-215 budget amendments.
I sent those all out earlier, just moving money around from one line item to another to, get rid of any negative numbers that we had, so.
You just need a motion for
We
those?
do.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 7, homecoming parade.
The homecoming parade, Simone, Tucker sent, the approval over, it's gonna be September 18th, so it's gonna be kind of early, so she wanted to, before they left school, she sent this over to request the homecoming parade. September 18th, it'll be at 6:30 PM to 5 PM.
Okay, need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 8, the CD renewal, wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, we have a $429,000 CD up for renewal. And that was for, I'm just thinking too far ahead. The screw press project, we borrowed $500,000 for. We have received $240,000 from the city for their share of that cost. And I was wondering if you all wanted to take $260 of this to pay that ban off, to save the interest.
I really like the idea of doing that.
Is there a downside? Yeah,
Is
is
there
there
a
a downside
penalty?
to it?
No, the bans, we have written up so that we can pay them off early.
It saves the village money.
We'll save on the interest.
Yeah.
Need a motion for that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Who's on board to save money?
Yeah.
Mm.
Now we need to go into executive session to talk about the Teamsters and police contracts. Thank you, everyone.